Hello and welcome you all for the next video lecture on relative risk. In this lecture, we'll be looking into a statistical estimate known as relative risk. Let us see what it is in little detail. This is a statistical test which is used for prospective studies, that is either cohort studies, even RCTs also it is used. It measures association between exposure status and the disease state, between exposed condition and unexposed condition. It's a relative measure. So a relative risk is a ratio of the probability of obtaining the disease among those who are exposed to the probability of those who are not exposed. So it's a relative ratio between the two cases. Now this is not used in retrospective studies. It is used only in cohort studies, that is prospective studies only it is used. When you use prevalence studies, there is an equivalent term called as prevalence ratio, which is almost same as relative risk but termed as prevalence ratio. Then this particular statistical estimate, that is it's a point estimate, means it's something similar to your mu, that is mu or x bar, mean or median, the way the values what we take, it's an estimate of the population using a sampled value. How do we calculate this? Let us see. Based on your experimental conditions, you will be generating a 2 by 2 contingency table, something like this. A, B, C, D are the frequencies that will be entering for the cohorts, exposed versus unexposed. Two cohorts are there, and the outcome is, the response is either event exists or event doesn't exist. You will be writing the sum of the column, sums for the rows. So this is the 2 by 2 contingency table that is drawn based on the experimental condition. It's a categorical data. So we'll be analyzing the categorical data for relative risk estimation. So the relative risk is nothing but it's a ratio of two things: probability of risk for exposed group, that is exposed group, to the probability of risk for unexposed group. Here it is, unexposed group. So you'll be taking the ratio between exposed to unexposed. What probability will be taking? Running the risk. Event may be the risking condition here. So you'll be kind of finding out what is the rate at which it happens. So probability or the rate, the numerator A by A plus B. A, the event happening upon total number of exposed conditions. So for all the exposed condition, how much event has taken place. Similarly, for an unexposed condition, of the total, how much event has taken place. So C by C plus D is in the denominator for the unexposed condition. This is also known as a rate or risk rate. This numerator is called as risk rate for exposed. The denominator is called as risk rate for unexposed. The ratio between the two risk rates will be calculating as relative risk. So the relative risk reduction, there is one more term called as RRR. This is a decimal value. You would like to express it in a percentage scale. You would have heard something like taking particular vitamin reduces the risk of aging by some 20%, 100%, 200%. A percentage scale you would have heard. So it's an equivalent terminology that you can use here. So the decimal value what you get here, RR, that you have to deduct from 1 multiply by 100. Now when you do that, you remember that the probability always runs from 0 to 1. So the relative difference is restricted, but the p-value what we calculate, but the relative ratio is 0 to infinity. So the relative probabilities provide a larger window for us to do the analysis. On what levels it is increased or decreased, we can identify. So we have different possibilities here. If RR, relative ratio, if the ratio is greater than 1, if this RR is greater than 1, what it means? The triple R, that is relative risk reduction, becomes negative. So it means the risk is increased for exposed group. If the RR is greater than 1, it means the risk for exposed group is more than risk for unexposed group. If that is equal to 1, if relative risk is equal to 1, risk reduction is 0. Relative risk, if it is equal to 1, what does that mean? The risk rate for exposed and risk rate for unexposed are equal. It remains same. So it doesn't make any difference between the two cases. If RR is less than 1, relative risk is decreased for the exposed group compared to the unexposed. So we will be getting any one of these cases as a result of experimental design. Here is one illustration. So let us take this case for example. Here two cohorts are there, exposed versus unexposed. Response is event and no event. So 24, 75, 37 and 54 are the frequencies for these particular conditions. The row sum, column sum are mentioned. 190 is the total sample n. So we will be calculating relative risk using this formula and relative risk reduction using this formula which you have already discussed. So the relative risk 24 divided by 99, 37 divided by 91. So you will be calculating the relative risk for these two cases. Then you will take the ratio between these two risk rates, right? So this 0.587 is the relative risk. Now relative risk reduction, what it is? 1 minus RR, 1 minus 0.587 multiplied by 100. So it is positive value. Since it is less than 1, it is a positive value. RRR is 41.3%. What does that mean? Let us look at it. Since RR is less than 1, what it means now? Relative risk of event occurring for exposed group is lower than the unexposed group. So compared to the unexposed group, exposed group runs a lower risk. Now that I can tell it in a different way when I use percentage scale. Risk of event occurring in exposed group is 41.3 less compared to the unexposed group. So you have one number to tell this particular information. Here you will be telling it in a qualitative way. Here you are adding one number for quantitative differentiation. So quantifyingly, you'll be differentiating between the exposed and unexposed two groups. You'll be mentioning it is either less by or more by. So if this value is negative, it means it is more by that particular number. Mere point estimate is insufficient when you mention a relative risk. Along with the relative risk, you must always mention a confidence interval. The confidence interval could be of different percentage scales. Usually we go for 95% confidence interval. Now let us see how we analyze it. This is the same table which I mentioned earlier. Relative risk RR you will be calculating as I told you earlier, that is ratios of two risk rates for exposed and unexposed. Then you have to compute the variance. How do we compute the variance? 1 minus R1. R1 is nothing but risk rate for the exposed. R2 is the risk rate for the second group, that is unexposed. So 1 minus R1 by A, 1 minus R2 by A. In simple way we can write it as B by A into A plus B, D by C into C plus D. So how do we analyze here? B divided by A into A plus B. B for the first term, if you observe, it is only for the exposed. Second term is only for the unexposed. For the exposed term, what do we write? B, where the event doesn't occur, it goes to the numerator, divided by event frequency, in the denominator you have the total frequency. So A and A plus B goes to the denominator product and B is the numerator. Similarly, D divided by C into C plus D. So you will be taking the variance. For variance you will be taking no event column flanked by in the denominator. These two terms you will be taking the denominator, A into A plus B, C into C plus B, and you will be summing it up. So that is the variance. Then you will have to calculate the confidence interval according to this formula. What is this? Relative risk. There are two terms. If you remember, confidence interval is a range. This is the lower value of the range. This is the upper value. So the confidence interval means within this range your relative risk exists. The point estimate exists in between these two for a 95% of the time. So relative risk multiplied by exponential of this product. What is this? Minus z alpha by 2. It's a number multiplied by the square root of the variance. This is the minus z here, and for the upper range you will be taking the plus z. It is the same term. For exponential of minus z, exponential of plus z you will be taking. So variance you have calculated here, relative risk you have calculated here. The z value will be equal to 1.96 if you take 95% confidence interval. For 95% confidence interval, if you look at the z table, z distribution table, for alpha is equal to 0.05 related to 95% confidence interval. So this z value will be equal to 1.96. If you change the confidence interval, z value will change. If you retain 95% confidence interval for any analysis, Z will always be equal to 1.96. So you'll be taking 1.96 here and you'll be doing the evaluation. When you get a result, look for this. This is most important. When confidence interval range consists of 1, number 1, if this range involves 1 within this, then relative risk is not very significant even if your RR is very high. What does this mean? Now let me assume that you have got relative risk equal to 4. That means you are having a relative risk of 4 times for exposed compared to the unexposed, right? So that's good. What if this confidence interval, the lower limit is 0.5, upper limit is 5? It is 0.4, or let me take any value less than 1, 0.5. This, let me say it as 0.5, upper limit is 5. Within this, the relative risk, what you said, 4 is existing, fine. So don't you think that it includes 1, that is 0.5 to 5, it includes 4 as well as 1, means there is an equal chance that relative risk is equal to 1, also 4. So how much ever chance you have for 4, same amount of chance you have that it's 1, right? So there is a possibility that relative risk is also equal to 1. What does it mean? If relative risk is equal to 1, slight chance is there that there is no difference between two groups. Exposed and unexposed risk are equal. So you need to be very careful when you mention this. So that is why always relative risk should be accompanied with confidence interval value. Let us look at one illustration. Same problem that we have done earlier. Same table for which we have calculated the relative risk as 0.587. Now let us calculate the confidence interval. For that I need variance. So let me calculate the variance. You may pause the video, you may calculate these two values and come back and check the results. Alright, now let us see the value, whether you have done it or calculated it properly. Here it is. So b by a plus b, 75 divided by 24 into 99, 54 divided by 37 into 91. So two terms are there, you use them, calculate the variance. Usually we take 3 or 4 decimal approximations, right? Then confidence interval value, we'll use the equation, and when you substitute, relative risk is 0.587, v 0.00476, 1.96 I'll be taking because I'll be using 95% confidence interval here. So I'll be taking two values. I get 95% confidence interval is equal to 0.383 to 0.9. So note this one, very important. 95% confidence interval, it does not include 1. It is less than 1. The whole range is less than 1, lower side, and RR is within this range. Obviously always your RR will be within this range, it won't go beyond this range. Now what does this less than 1 mean? Relative risk of occurrence of event is significantly decreased by 41.3% for exposed treatment. From where this 41.3% come? If you remember, we calculated RRR, relative risk reduction, right? So that value. So how does this value or this particular sentence different from there? This one, significantly. So significantly, when I say I have considered 95% confidence interval, 95% confidence interval, when I take it, it tells me it is significantly decreased, right? The key takeaway from this video lecture: relative risk is used for prospective studies, cohort or RCT. So you'll be drawing or writing down the 2 by 2 contingency table. Using that, you'll be calculating the relative risk using this formula, which means it's the risk rate for exposed to risk rate to the unexposed. You'll take a ratio, then you'll calculate the relative risk reduction, then you can calculate the confidence interval. Use of relative risk along with the confidence interval is mandatory, otherwise it may mislead, the values may mislead. So relative risk will be calculating by calculating the variance, and note that for 95% confidence interval, always the Z value is 1.96. Yes, that's the end of this video lecture. Thank you.